Good morning, everyone. Today is our first day for 2022. Okay, so this is Sir Topper, your Science 7 teacher, and this is Module 6, Quarter 2, Part 1. Okay, so I'm going to present to you my lesson in ML format or in a module legends. So let's have it. Okay, so this is second quarter, grade 7, Science 7, Asexual reproduction, a tale of awesome single parenting. That's it. So what I need to know. So these are our most essential learning competencies. First, we have to differentiate asexual from sexual reproduction in terms of number of individuals involved and similarities of offspring to parent. So after going through this module, you are expected to first, define asexual reproduction, 2. Describe the different types of asexual reproductions, and 3. Classify organisms according to their methods of reproduction. So here we go. Before we proceed with the main lesson, let us have our review. Let us check what you know. Okay, directions. Choose the best answer from the given choices. Key in your answers in our class point up. Are you ready? Okay. So let's have number 1 question. Which of the following statements is true about asexual reproduction? Is it A, only one parent is required? B, a kitten is produced through asexual reproduction? C, a mother and father are needed to produce offspring? And letter D, the offspring that are produced are genetically unique. Go. Okay, time is up. The correct answer for this is letter A. Only one parent is required. Let's proceed with question number 2. Which of the following is not a form of asexual reproduction? A, budding, B, regeneration, C, binary fission, and D, formation of zygote. Go. Time is up. The correct answer for this is letter D, and that is formation of zygote. There is no zygote in asexual reproduction. Let's proceed with question number 3. Which of the following statements correctly describes binary fission? Is it A, it grows from a part of an organism? B, it is the combination of two organisms? C, it produces daughter cells that are different from the parent? Or D, it is the splitting of an organism to produce two daughter cells? Go. Time is up. The correct answer is letter D. It is the splitting of an organism to produce two daughter cells. Let's proceed with question number 4. Which of the following structures is not involved in asexual reproduction? Is it A, gametes, B, roots, C, stem, D, tuber? Go. Time is up. The correct answer for this question is letter A. Gametes is not involved in asexual reproduction. Let's proceed with question number 5. The table below shows organisms and some data on their characteristics. Based on the information in the table, which organism is likely to produce offspring that are all genetically uniform? So let's read. Organism Gumamela, kingdom Plantae, mode of reproduction sexual, mode of feeding is photosynthesis. Chicken, kingdom Animalia, mode of reproduction sexual, mode of feeding consumer. Or Hydra, kingdom Animalia, mode of reproduction asexual, mode of feeding is consumer. Or lastly, we have the organism fish, kingdom Animalia, mode of reproduction is sexual, mode of feeding is consumer. Is it A, chicken, B, fish, C, Gumamela, or D, Hydra? Go. Time is up. The correct answer is letter D. It is Hydra. Let's have number 6 question. Determine what type of asexual reproduction does each picture represent. Let's start with number 6 and choose from the choices given in the box below. Is it binary fission, budding, regeneration, spore formation, or vegetative propagation? Go. Time is up. And the correct answer is letter C, and that is regeneration. Congratulations for those who got it right. How about 7? Time starts now. Time is up. Okay, you're correct. It's letter A, vegetative propagation for potato. For number 8, this is Hydra. Is it A, B, C, D, or E? Go. Time is up. The correct answer is letter B. It is budding. Okay. For number 9, is it A, B, C, D, or E? Time is up. For number 9, it is letter A, binary fission. Let's proceed with number 10 question. Okay, let's proceed with number 10 question. Determine what type of asexual reproduction does each picture represent. Okay, is it A, B, C, D, or E? That is mushroom. Okay, time is up. And that is correct. It is under spore formation. Congratulations for those who got it right. So this is our topic 1. Our lesson 1 entitled Asexual Reproduction, a Tale of Awesome Single Parenting. So let's discover our skills. Hello. Remember that in the previous module, you have explored the diversity of organisms. You also have discussed the different living things other than plants and animals. These organisms make sure to continue their own kind through reproduction, whether sexually or asexually. In this lesson, we will know how organisms reproduce asexually. Although organisms have different methods of reproducing asexually, each method leads to the beginning of a new life for the continuity of their species. Hello, Mr. Org of Asexualandia needs your help. The queen of their land was kidnapped by Mr. Unknown. I know you are brave enough to help him release the queen. Are you excited? Let's start reading the story below. So this is our story, entitled Mr. Org's Quest in Finding Queen Asexually by Leah Joy A. Desamparado. In a faraway place there is a beautiful land named Asexualandia. This place is full of various organisms, plants and animals that are unique from each other. Each has their own distinct role to play to keep Asexualia at peace and maintain its stability. In an Asexualia, organisms are produced asexually, where a single organism is the sole parent and the offspring is genetically identical to the parent. All is well. Everything is in order until a horrible incident happened. Queen Asexually was kidnapped by a very forgetful Mr. Unknown. Mr. Unknown is someone who feels alone and not at home. He always feels like he is different from them, for he doesn't even remember who his really family is. Because of this, he came up with an idea of kidnapping the queen. He will only release the queen if someone can help him remember where he came from. Mr. Org, the Knight of the Queen, the bravest of all Asexualia, set forth to a cave to start his quest in finding Queen Asexually. In his quest, questions will be posted and must be correctly answered. Asexualia is divided into 5 important areas. First, among the 5 is the land of vegetative propagation, where plants reproduce through this type of asexual reproduction. And this is the question. Can you give plants that do not grow from seeds? Mr. Org answered, potato, onion, and ginger are just a few. So that is under vegetative reproduction. The second area is the land of the bacteria, where they reproduce through binary fission. The question is, can one become 2? Tell me more, if this is true. Mr. Org answered with all his might, yes, one can become 2 like how the bacteria do. With the microscope, I had observed that each cell divides to form 2 daughters that are exactly alike. The third area is the land of hydria. This organism reproduces asexually through budding. It is formed as an outgrowth of the parent. Then it will separate from the parent and becomes a new individual. And this is the question. What other organisms reproduce through budding? Mr. Org answered, corals, yeasts also reproduce with hydra. The fourth area is the land of spore formation. And this is the question. What happened to the bread inside your bag's pocket? It is not good for you to eat. But if you can explain what happened, I will give you something else to eat. Mr. Org then replied, molds are now growing on my bread. They reproduce asexually through spore formation, like what you said. Mushrooms also reproduce in the same manner. The last area is the land of regeneration. In this area, some animals like starfish, where an arm that breaks off from the body can develop into a new individual. And this is the question. Can you kill starfish by breaking it into 2? Mr. Org answered, no, you are just reproducing them into 2 because starfish can restore their lost or damaged parts like you. Mr. Unknown, you belong here in the land of regeneration. Mr. Org responded, is that so? That explains why I was able to grow my lost tail. Thank you so much, Mr. Orc, Mr. Unknown said happily. By that instant, Mr. Unknown releases the queen for Mr. Orc successfully. Help him remember where he belongs to, and everything is back to normal. So that is our story for the day. And we have questions here to ponder. So let's have the directions. Answer the following questions. Write your answer in your activity notebook. Okay. What is asexual reproduction according to the story? What are the 5 types of asexual reproduction mentioned in the story? What organisms reproduce through vegetative propagation? And how do bacteria reproduce? What happened to the lost arm of starfish? And how will you describe asexual reproduction through budding? Okay, so here are our answers. For letter A, asexual reproduction is a type of reproduction where a single organism is the sole parent and the offspring is genetically identical to the parent. For letter B, the 5 types of asexual reproduction mentioned in the story are vegetative propagation, binary fission, budding, spore formation, and regeneration. For letter C, organisms reproduced through vegetative propagation are potato, onion, and ginger. For letter D, bacteria reproduce through binary fission. And for the last one, letter E, asexual reproduction through budding is where organisms is formed as an outgrowth of the parent. Then it will separate from the parent and becomes a new individual. Let's proceed. So what is it? This is all about our lesson, asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, one individual parent produces offspring that is genetically identical to itself. It does not involve sex cells or gametes. These gametes are called produced through meiosis. Rather, it is reproduction by mitosis, allowing a new, genetically identical individual to be produced. Asexual reproduction does not allow genetic variation, but guarantees reproduction, no dependence on others. It rapidly increases numbers of an organisms and keeps its desired combination of traits. There are several types of asexual reproduction, namely, we have vegetative propagation, binary fission, budding, spore formation, and regeneration. In vegetative propagation, new individuals are formed without the production of seeds and spores. From a single potato stem tuber, several new potato plants can be produced through the eyes, where shoots can grow from it. The formation of new plants out of rhizomes, like ginger, is another example. Others reproduce through their stolons, also called a runner, such as in strawberry plant. Formation of bulbs for onions and the growing of plantlets around the leaf margins of the bryopylum. Each example is shown in the pictures below. Here they are. Potatoes, ginger, strawberries, bryopylum, and onions. They are under asexual reproduction, vegetative propagation. Why do we use vegetative propagation to grow plants? Vegetative propagation results in plants that reach maturity faster than plants grown from seeds. Another good thing about it is that the same good agricultural traits such as taste, yield, and resistance to pests will be passed on from generation to generation. But one disadvantage is that the population might be wiped out if environmental conditions become unfavorable. The next one is the binary fission. From the word binary, which means two, and fission, which means splitting, the cells divides or splits to form two identical daughter cells. Each daughter cell continues to grow until it becomes as large as the parent cell. This type of reproduction is common among single-celled organisms, including bacteria. The third one, asexual reproduction, is budding. It is another type of asexual reproduction. Yeast, hydra, and sponges reproduce this way. The figure below shows how yeast, a microorganism used in baking, reproduces by budding. In budding, a new individual may form as an outgrowth of the parent. The outgrowth separates from the parent and becomes a new individual. So here are the samples. Letter A, yeast. Letter B, hydra. And letter C, sponges. Let's proceed. The next one is the formation of spore. It is another type of asexual reproduction common among molds or fungi. If you have observed a piece of bread with molds growing on it, the round structure at the tip of a stalk is called spore case, which contains the spores. When the spore case opens, the tiny spores are released and may be carried by wind or water. Once the spore lands on the favorable environment, it develops into a new organism. Under the microscope, a bread mold with a spore case looks like the one in the picture on the left. Okay, so this is the spore formation. So we have the black one there. Next, fragmentation. It is a breaking of the body into two parts which are with subsequent regeneration. Regeneration is the process in which organisms replace or restore their lost or damaged body parts. If the animal is capable of fragmentation and the part is big enough, a separate individual will regrow. Many sea stars produces asexually by fragmentations. For example, if the arm of an individual sea star is broken off and it will regenerate a new sea star. Fishery workers have been known to try to kill the sea stars that eat their clam or oyster beds by cutting them in half and throw them back into the ocean. Unfortunately for the workers, the two parts can each regenerate a new half, resulting in twice as many sea stars to prey upon the oysters and clams. Fragmentation also occurs in annelid worms, tubulans, and poroferans. So let's have this one. What's more? So directions, read and answer the question. Key in your answers in your class point up. So this is matching type. Match column A with column B. So what is number 1? The release of spores to develop an organism. Number 2, a process in which organisms replace or restore their lost or damaged body parts. Number 3, new individuals are formed without the production of seeds or spores. And number 4, results from the outgrowth of part of the cell. And lastly, the individual splits off and forms two identical daughter cells. Okay, so let's reveal the answer. For number 1, we have the release of spores to develop an organism. We have spore formation. Number 2, a process in which organisms replace or restore their lost or damaged body parts is under regeneration. For number 3, new individuals are formed without the production of seeds or spores, that is vegetative propagation. And number 4, it results from the outgrowth of part of a cell, it is binary fission. And lastly, an individual splits off and forms two identical daughter cells is called budding. So let's move on. For what's more, activity 2. How do I reproduce? Directions clarify or classify the following organisms according to their method of reproduction. Choose from the choices in the box. So let's have this as short answer. So okay, answer this. Ready, set, go. Okay, so let's see. The answer are for number 1, sweet potato is under vegetative propagation. Number 2, yeast, that is under budding. Number 3, amoeba, that is bacteria, that is binary fission. And starfish is under regeneration. And for number 5, molds, we have spore formation. Okay, so this is again under what's more. Questions to ponder. Write your answer in a separate bit of paper. Number 6. How many parents is or are involved in asexual reproduction? Are the parents of the offspring identical or not? Explain your answer. And number 8. Draw your own conclusion. Let's have the answer. For number 6, there is only one parent involved in asexual reproduction. And for number 7, offspring are genetically identical to the parent. And for number 8, answers may vary. Okay? So let's have this one. Okay, let's proceed with what I have learned. Directions. Read the paragraph carefully and identify the correct word in the box below. So key in your answers using our class point up. Here are the words. Asexual, bacteria, budding, different, younger, identical, molds, regeneration, reproduce, to vegetative propagation. So here we go. Okay, go. Okay, time is up. Let's reveal the answer. For number 1, we have reproduce. Number 2, asexual. Number 3, identical. And number 4, vegetative propagation. 5, ginger. 6, bacteria. 7, 2. 8, molds. 9, regeneration. And 10, building. Okay, so these are our answers. So what can I do? Okay, congratulations. You just learned the different types of sexual reproduction. It is now your turn to list down an example of organisms under each type of asexual reproduction. Use the table below as your guide. Write your answers on your activity notebook. Okay, for this is our answer. Learners may give different possible examples under each type of asexual reproduction. So it's up to you anything that you can give under those types of asexual reproduction. Okay, let's proceed. We have this assessment. Directions. Choose the best answer from the given choices. Key in your answers in our class point up. Okay, let's have number 1. Which of the following statements correctly describes sexual reproduction? Number 1. Offspring are genetically unique. 2. Offspring are genetically identical to parent. 3. A male and female is needed to produce offspring. 4. One parent is needed to reproduce. And 5. It is only occurs in plants and bacteria. Go. Time is up. And the correct answer for number 1 is letter B. 2 and 4 only. So we have offspring are genetically identical to parent and one parent is needed to reproduce. That will be the answer. How many parents are needed in asexual reproduction? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Go. Time is up. The correct answer is letter A, 1. Number 3. How do bacteria make the next generation? Is it through by budding, sexuality, fragmentation, or binary fission? Go. Time is up. The correct answer is letter D, through binary fission. Let's proceed with question number 4. Which of the following is a disadvantage of asexual reproduction? A. There is a great variation among the offspring. B. Offspring will get all good characteristics of parents. C. Offspring have difficulty in adapting to new environment. And D. Adapting to the environment is always constant among the offspring. Go. Okay, time is up. For number 4, the correct answer is letter C. Offspring have difficulty in adapting to new environment. Number 5 question. If you cut the starfish into 2 pieces, each piece develops into a new starfish. What type of asexual reproduction is this? Is it A. Budding, B. Regeneration, C. Spore formation, or D. Vegetative propagation? Go. Okay, time is up. Correct answer for number 5 is letter B, regeneration. Number 6 question. Which of the following is known as the horizontal runners in strawberries? A. Buds, B. Clones, C. Roots, D. Stolons. Go. Okay, time is up. The correct answer for number 6 is letter D, stolons. Number 7 question. The diagrams below represent various processes associated with reproduction. Which of the following represent asexual reproduction? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? Go. Time is up. And the correct answer is 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that was letter D. Let's move on with number 8 question. Which of the following is the starting point of an offspring of a budding organism? A. Colony of clones, B. Unfertilized egg cell, C. Cutting from the parent, and D. Growth on the parent's body. Go. Time is up, and that was correct. It's letter D, growth on the parent's body. Let's have number 9 question. Which of the following words is another term for regeneration? A. Communication, B. Defense, C. Healing, D. Movement. Go. Time is up, and that is correct. It is letter C, healing. And let's have the last question. Which of the following statements are not true about types of asexual reproduction? 1. Spore formation is the release of spores to develop an organism. 2. Regeneration is a process in which organisms replace their lost body parts. 3. And vegetative propagation, new individuals are formed through production of seeds or spores. And number 4, budding results from the outgrowth of a part of a cell. And 5, binary fission is the combination of 2 organisms to form a new individual. Go. Okay, time is up. And the correct answer is letter B. Only 3 and 5 only. So in vegetative propagation, new individuals are formed through the production of seeds or spores. In binary fission is the combination of two organisms to form a new individual. Okay, so we have additional activities. Wow, that was tough job. At last, you have finished studying the module. But before you completely exit, try to answer this additional activity. Complete the crossword by identifying the words being described in each item below. So you may write your answer in your activity notebook. So this is Road to Victory. Okay, so here is the puzzle at the left part, and the questions for across and down is on the right side. Okay, so let's move on. For number one, a sea creature that is capable of regenerating its lost arm. Sea stars, there are starfish. A type of asexual reproduction. Okay, so sexual, so that is number two. Damage, regeneration. Okay, now number five belongs to the kingdom fungi and produce their spore formation. We have type reproduction, asexual, single-celled organism, bacteria. Okay, it means to split or separate, fission. Number two, down, it's a rhizome. Four, spore. Number seven, budding. And number nine is example potato tuber. And 11 is called runners. To have strawberries to propagate, and that is stolon. Okay, so that's all. Thank you and good morning.